午安，歡迎各位嘉賓、老師同埋同學啊！今日咧係參加我哋恒生大學藝術設計系嘅藝術設計公開講座啊！呢個學期嘅第二講。咁今日
Welcome everyone for attending this public lecture.
邀請到咧我哋特區政府嘅前環境局局長黃錦星先生，同埋佢嘅團隊。係破天荒第一次咧，係將佢哋嘅可以叫做 professional secrets 啊，同大家介紹啊，佢點樣去設計，同埋咧係去即係推廣呢個大嘥鬼呢個 mascot 嚇。
We are glad to have invited Mr. Wong to share his business secret with us. And how did he design the big WASTER? We are very glad to have him with us on this good day. Thank you for all of us joining us on this lecture, either here or on the internet. Firstly, I would like to invite our Miss Antonia Young, our Vice Principal, to have a welcome speech. Thank you, Desmond, and thank you, everyone. Thank you, AKS and your team. I'm happy to be here, like Desmond said. We, Hang Seng University of Hong Kong, we are glad to have invited Mr. Wong here to share his secret with us. My own previous career has also worked in sustainable environment and environmental protection. So this topic today is not only crucial to our design department, it's also a very meaningful educational event for everyone involved. We would like to learn from KS and his team their spirit on maintaining environmental protection and promoting several campaigns, including the Big WASTER. We are glad to have invited KS and his team here for their design on the Big WASTER. Thank you very much. Everyone, nice to meet you. Today is a very interesting day for us. Big WASTER is now 9 years old. Our green campaign is also almost 2 years old. Thank you, Professor Desmond, to invite us to have this sharing today. How to make good use of designing to achieve social achievements. There are several things that we have tried it and we would like to improve on. Today, I will share about the last 10 years, my days as the Secretary for the Environment. How do we design the Big WASTER? Since I was a designer myself, how did we use these ideas and make good use of the government's resources in the campaign for environmental protection and carbon reduction? Karen is the designer for the Big WASTER, and he will share with us how did he come to design the Big WASTER. We will also talk about the green campaign and the recycle shops and points. In the last 2 years, how did it come from nothing to the campaign nowadays? So today, it will not just be about the Big WASTER. It will be about our career in the last decade for the Secretary for the Environment. Since it's autumn now, the big waster is standing in this beautiful field. And look at how smirky he is. He's also telling everyone we need to be BYOB. You need to bring your own water bottle and bring your own cutlery and take your trash away. So today, we will start with the history of the big waster and other related topics. Be it designing or working in a government, we all need to think about involving all these problems, which one is the biggest. We need to take care of the biggest problems first. In Hong Kong, such a global city, facing all kinds of global issues, which one is the biggest one? Recently, we have a poster for the big waster. Big waster is so hot. It's not just about his popularity. We are literally talking about the earth. It's become so hot. This August is the hottest August in the history of Hong Kong. And this Chongyang Festival is also the hottest in Hong Kong history. I'm sure everyone felt that. So what should we do? Today, we will be focused in the big waster's character development and how it can help the environmental protection issue in Hong Kong. From both the hardware aspect and the so-called software aspect of the government. From promotion to actual campaigns. As Secretary for the Environment, the first issue I tackled is a reduction of food waste. In Asia, Hong Kong started later than most cities in Asia. It won't be easy to catch up. But we still will need to take it step by step. In Hong Kong, reducing waste in the landfill, 1/3 of all the waste are the food waste. Food reduction would be the most efficient solution. When we were young, parents taught us not to waste food. But compared to when we were young, Hong Kong is now a much wealthier city. So we need to carry out a campaign for Hong Kongers to not waste food. Should it be more useful, more effective to have a character designed for this campaign? In the past, we have such character for public health. Desmond was a designer himself. So what was the design idea for the big waster? Chinese like to say, don't bite more than you can chew. If you ordered or prepared the food more than you can eat, it is no good. So this is the idea we had for the design of the big waster. After his 1.5-year anniversary, the design received an award at the HKMA campaign. This was also the first time a government mascot received such an award. At 2015, one night my staff called me. So we worked all time around the clock. You can call me anytime. And what was the phone call about? There was a TV program, people throwing cake all around and wasting food. Can we have the big waster talk about it? As a secretary, of course, I support the big waster. So this post was supported by most Hong Kong citizens. At 2015, other than the food-wise campaign. There were also a lot of environmental protection campaign. The United Nations pushed for a campaign for the wormholes effect of the Earth. We discussed about should we create another mascot for such campaign, or we will make the bag waster do it too. So we decided to have the bag waster work overtime for this electricity campaign and for the campaign for the carbon deduction. I myself, I'm also now wearing this t-shirt of the bag waster. We decided to have this lively design and put it on the several social media to push for this campaign. Allow me to introduce a bit of our work back in the government. Sometimes when we needed to do design works, maybe what we created would be only used for a week or maybe a month. So I talked to our staff, and if we need to do such designs, we either don't do it we don't do several works different times, or we have it prepared for all kinds of different campaigns. So this shirt was created back then at 2015, and we can sustain it all the time till now. After all the promotion work we have done, let's talk about some campaigns we have done at the government. There are waste we need to recycle or retrieve. We have started a social network campaign. There is a green campaign at Shartin. It has two functions. One is an educational one. For waste, recycling, and environmental protection. Everyone thought, why do we have this beautiful cafe here? It had received the highest grading. We had this industrial container reworked into this creative design. It is environmental friendly, which also worked as a recycling station. We have this exhibition, including furniture and interior design, also share the theme of environmental protection campaign. No matter it's daytime or night, it is created by our designers to reflect on different time of one day. And the second recycling station is green in the east area. This one was at nowhere, a temporary car park under a bridge. The ground was also not very stable. So we combined this green at the east area with a bridge and tried to make the citizens feel it more around their lives. At the same time, it had also received a gold certification of the HKGBC. You can see here when a mother brings her kid to the station, it is a very clean recycling station. There is also an area for the several events. we can have all the doors and windows open for a very open environment. This is a campaign of recycling second-hand clothes and socks. Children can also learn about waste deduction here. At 2016, I've created 60 these big waster dolls. It was also the 60th anniversary of the Institute of Designers. So they asked me to do a designer work for the campaign. I wondered what should I do. And then I came up with the idea and made 60 of these big waster dolls. They recycled old clothes, so every one of them are unique. The good thing about them is I can carry them around for all kinds of events and show them to children and attendees and tell everyone not be a big waster. And then allow me to talk about several infrastructure we had. We had the first major incinerator called T Park. This one in white clothes. Maybe he looked familiar to you. He made 2 series for the TV, and T Park was the venue for that TV program, and nobody had idea that T Park was actually made for incineration purpose. We wanted to create these places that people can visit freely, and at the same time to promote our campaign on waste reduction to citizens. At the same time, this incinerator was initially named Slug Treatment Plant. I believe everyone attending this event, I believe you might not have a very clear idea on what is slug. That's why we all had designing ideas for these campaigns. T Park, the T stands for transformation, and the park stands for an open area for everyone to visit for recreational purposes. We will take a bit of time out to share the PowerPoint to everyone. It seems to be okay now? Okay, thank you. This is the opening day of T Park. There's a fashion blend at this tourist space. It could be for fashion events. It could be a cafe for youngsters, an event space for environmental protection campaign. You can take a look at this picture. This is the outer area of T Park's garden. This boy has his legs in the water. The water is also a hot spring. You can see that hot spring icon. The water used the heat generated from the incinerator to make the water into a hot spring, and this energy change could be make very good use of the incinerator. And these, including musical events, could be carried out at T Park. Look at how happy these children are. including these musical instruments recycled from different waste products. Just like what we like to say, less is more. How can we create a healthy, happy environment with less burden on the environment? These are all three venues for Hong Kong citizens. And I've heard from several people telling me that it is very hard to book a time at T Park, showing how popular they are. There's a little story I'd like to share with you. We would like to create more opportunities for youngsters for designing works. So at T Park, we outsource the designing works to young designers or engineers to make good use of these waste we collected at the Wan Chai Pier, how to recycle them into a good-looking but also an award-winning cafe. We don't just do these work ourselves, but we create opportunities for young designers to create these environmental friendly spaces. Look at how beautiful these pictures are. There's also a tea spa. There's a hot spring at outdoor, but indoor, you can also experience how these water are created by the heat generated by the incinerator. At T Park, we can show the zero waste lifestyle and carry out different kinds of events at T Park. Like parents can show their kids how to have environmental friendly clothes recycled. When you go picnic, try to bring your own water bottle, reducing plastic used for water. These are issues that we like you to have more thoughts on, and that's why we have the Big Waster promoting them for us. At 2017, it was the transition time between two ruling government. And after T Park, we have created several venues. This WE Park means electrical waste, including old refrigerators, computers, and telephones. There is also an educational venue we have created for WE Park. We welcome you all to this. If you have old electronic devices at your home, call this number 267-68888 and recycle them. OPAC stands for organic waste. Because in Hong Kong, we lack a place for recycling food waste. This is not a very big venue, but we also have an area promoting the Big Waster and our Foodwise campaign. If we can all participate in reducing food waste, we are also helping environmental protection. Recycling these food waste becomes electricity for all citizens. And this is a campaign for showing how do we recycle food waste into electricity and other power. There is also this green field at OPAC 1. One of the byproducts is fertilizer. And we have this space on the ground for fertilizer, and upside, we have this campaign that you can book for planting promotion. You can see here that we have 100,000 food waste transferred into power just in 2019. In Hong Kong, we have many recycling boxes like this, recycling glass bottles. Allow me to tell you, government tried to work hard and step up in the campaign for recycling waste in Hong Kong. Since Hong Kong started late, But since we have laid all preparation groundwork for this campaign, the most important part is all of you try to bring out all the recyclable glass bottles and don't just throw it away. In Hong Kong, every 10 glass bottles, we can only recycle 3 of them. So where did they go? Government tried it. The government is now one of the best in glass bottle recycling campaign in all Asia. We need your participation to do this. You can see this power button on the Big Waster. This campaign, this solar harvest campaign, we have the Big Waster touring in different schools. The government will pay for all schools in Hong Kong to install these solar panels. While we design this campaign, other than technical support, we also invite the teachers and students to design how to place their own solar panels on the rooftop of their schools. We like the children and students to participate in these carbon and waste reduction campaigns. Last year, you can see here, this is a recycling shop. Other than the bigger ones, in the last decade, we supported different groups to set up these recycling campaigns for different areas. However, we allowed different groups to do their own work. They didn't need to follow a set guidelines or rules set up by us. So citizens might not have noticed their existence. You might not be able to tell them apart from normal trash bins. So now we are trying to unify all these recycling shops into one unified design and image. You can have one single card to collect all points for recycling in all areas of Hong Kong. And this has stepped up our campaign for quite a bit. And it has a very positive impact. You can see when I see people lining up at this recycling shop, it made me very happy. Alan will talk about how these recycling shops can look all clean and white in spite of people's image on them being very dirty. And we have a transparent design for these recycling shops. And at the same time, we don't forget that people should bring your own water bottle. When you run out of water, you can use this water dispenser at these recycling shops or wash your hands. Clean recycling is the start for these waste recycling campaigns. During the pandemic, we have reduced these educational campaigns, but no matter it's a big recycling shop or a small one, we try to do them with normal recycling campaigns. How is your son? So you should be especially close to these. We need to teach the children about the importance of recycling. Also, these plastics are created by waste, so we make good use of them by recycling what you don't need. 2021, we make good use of all our experience and created these better recycling shops. Like this uniform on our staff is also created by materials recycled from different waste. from their clothes to their hats are all products of recycled waste. At the same time, we make good use of technology. There are electronic devices that you can use by yourself at these recycling shops. They are fast and convenient. And at the same time, you can collect points for these several products. You can also see this second version, this new version of recycling shops are different from the old ones. During the epidemic, we started to pay extra attention on hygiene. So this design, we tried to make it extra clean and bright for a transparent image and allow people and citizens to use them comfortably. Green Wan Chai, we started this campaign at 2021. We support young people, especially young designers. We provide them with opportunities. This is a campaign, there is a campaign, a competition we created with the Institute of Designers. A campaign on environmental protection. They worked closely with the developers to create this venue for the Green Wan Chai. Y Park is also another venue that we have educational campaign on how to recycle waste into useful materials. There's a story that you might all remember. Is in the recent years, there were several super typhoons attacking Hong Kong. Hong Kong didn't have a good enough wood reserve for repairing and renovation purposes. After this experience, we have gathered. At Y Park, we have several equipments for retrieving or cutting down these woods. After these woods being cut down, we transport them to Y Park and recycle them into different products, like how this venue is mainly created by wood. We gathered from these places. So the Big WASTER also invite you all to visit this Y Park. And the sixth campaign, this green campaign, is always evolving. We have recycling station, we have smaller ones, there's recycling stores, and also even smaller ones, recycling spots. There are over 200 spots and an app we have created for you to collect points. We also have this Green Collect campaign. They visit where you live to collect the waste you would like to recycle. From business to industrial venues and to residential venues, we recycle all these waste for you. And throughout a decade, these are the campaigns and works I have worked at as the Secretary for the Environment. If you would like to know more, please follow and like the Facebook page of Big WASTER. And this is my Facebook and my Instagram. Even this is now an unofficial one. There are a lot of useful information on my page. And here is the history of the Big WASTER. This is a very detailed introduction on the history and this is an introduction on the history involving different characters and people in the history of environmental protection campaigns of Hong Kong. As I said at the beginning, we need to focus on the biggest problems among different problems. The waste deduction problem in Hong Kong The biggest one is each of us in Hong Kong create waste more than all other cities in Asia. The biggest one in Hong Kong is that we are all big wasters, especially in food waste. Like you can see here, comparing to Taipei and Seoul, our food waste is much more. Food waste and plastic are the biggest part of waste in the landfill. We have published this environmental report throughout 2012 to 2022, mapping the works of the government. We at Environmental Bureau carried out all these campaigns for waste reduction. And in the future, we need you to support carbon reduction. The Environmental Bureau has a clear map and plan for this future. And it's up to us to carry out these campaigns to help Hong Kong citizens for better environmental protection, supporting Hong Kong for a better future. And this is all for me. Our designer will talk about how the Big Waster supports Hong Kong's environmental protection and carbon reduction campaigns. Alan will also talk about the Green Community Campaign and its history. So remember, not be a big waster. Hello everyone, I'm Corinne. So Mr. Wong Kam-shing has introduced me, so I will skip it. I'm glad to tell you about how the Big Waster came to be. Before I begin, the Big Waster is here. Can we take a look at it? It should be outside. Allow me to show you this video. The Big Wasters team know I have this sharing with you, so they created these videos especially for you. My name is Corinne, and I'm a film director, and I also am a marketing consultant. So it started from 10 years ago. The Big Waster is now 9.5 years old. 10 years ago, we were facing the problem of too much food waste. However, for a campaign like this, we needed to work it out for 7 million people, all citizens of Hong Kong. Everyone likes to talk about environmental protection, turning out air conditioning, or reducing food waste. However, at that time, in Hong Kong society, most people were only talk. When it comes down to actual action, there are a lot of psychological aspects preventing a lot of people from actually participating. So when we received that brief to do this campaign, we didn't just focus on how to carry them out for all 7 million of Hong Kong citizens. we realized that it cannot be an instant success. So we continued to think about how should we do it. Since we are thinking about it, one of the ideas is that we who work in communication industry, we need to think about what is the punchline that affects audiences mostly. In advertisement, we call it a single-minded message. To be honest, no matter is it using air conditioners or reducing food, there are not things that would instantly happen in front of you. However, we need to accumulate these small things in our lives so that it could become big enough for all of us. Just like everyone around you, they might all have done this. As we said, they bite more than they could chew. They ordered more food than they could eat. Sometimes you might not think it matters. Maybe your parents or your grandparents cooked too much food for your children when you visit them. However, these are the small things that we can all help to prevent. Before the big waster's birth, KS shared with all of us with the "don't bite more than you could chew." It was the punchline that we started to create these several designs. We also took a lot of detour, but I think the most important one was that our team focused on we didn't want a mascot that looked too cutesy or popular. He needs to be that one person around you that always do some careless or making mistakes. The big wasters now is the accumulation of efforts from different teams. Finally, we have came to this design on the right side for the big waster. We wanted it to have chest hair, meaning that he's a very ballsy guy, but now we have a smooth-looking big waster. After we have decided with this appearance, a lot of people or clients around me told me that they think the big waster looks ugly. So we needed to work on how people comes to like him. We didn't want just popularity for him, but we want to humanize this character. So the big waster has become the mascot of our food waste campaign. And I think on the communication aspect, we needed the big waster as our spokesperson, but it should not just be it. In the last decade, not just Hong Kong, the whole global society, we don't just watch television. We would go on the internet, we would go on Facebook, we catch different things at different platforms. Under this circumstance, the big waster follows you around. And this has expanded into how we produce the campaigns for the big waster. We don't want it to sound official. The official stuff, we will let the government do it. However, we can have the big waster have a more friendly approach. We would like to have the big waster communicate with the citizens in different environments, which could make it more friendly and citizens feel closer to him. And from there, all campaigns we had circled around the big waster. when we had the Food Wise Hong Kong campaign. At that time, we have decided to create the Big Waster as a mascot, one that you can actually see or touch. I have tried to participate these campaigns for several times and saw the children scream when they saw the Big Waster. How happy the children were show us the image of this mascot had came out from just the paper and become an aspect that you can see around your life. In different campaigns, starting from the design of the Big Waster, we might not have this idea at day one, but we have transformed the Big Waster into a newer one with different aspects, including his eyes. In Cantonese, we say the eyes are too big than the eyes are much bigger than the stomach. That's why on designer aspects, I thank my team to slowly evolve the Big Waster into a simple but recognizable mascot. And in different circumstances, we have the Big Waster promote different campaigns. KS also mentioned it. Just like everyone who's on a paycheck, when you are doing good work, the bosses always make you do more. Ever since 2015, we put this power button on the stomach of the Big Waster, and he started to not just work on campaigns for food waste. The Big Waster started as a focus for the food waste campaigns, but we evolved him for several campaigns. And in this way, we can transfer the message of waste from food to the more massive environmental protection campaigns, including power reserve and weather changing and carbon deduction. I won't be showing you all these videos today, but we have a celebrity sing with the Big Waster in this video, and also a theme song about dumping less garbage. This campaign strategy we learned from the very first video the Big Waster used. It was a very popular song, even children can recite. And we believe that it could become a character trait of the Big Waster. He looks cheeky and always singing some fast songs that you can hear very clearly, but would make you want to hear it again. After that, we have recycling food waste for charity purposes. Every year, there are always one or two videos of the Big Waster that we would broadcast on mass media. Officially, these are government campaigns. We show them on television, on radio, and also some other social media platforms. But through these campaigns, they are public campaigns, and they are direct, and they are one way. Why did I bring this up is that because we started to make better use of the Big Waster on social media. We started to focus on different topics with the Big Waster, including clean shoreline campaigns by promoting citizens to bring their own garbage away and carbon deduction. All these campaigns. Also, this is a more recent campaign, the reduction of one-time use plastics. They are all different showcases making good use of the big waster. At the beginning, we were very optimistic at how to make use of the big waster. It could be a very popular government mascot. If we made him look good and lively, it would be a very good thing. The production of these videos were good. However, after that, when the big waster became a character of its own, we realized that we can simplify a lot of these campaigns and provide an experience easier to accept. No matter it's American or Japanese comics, we have learned from them. And those eyes of the big waster has become a very recognizable aspect of the big waster, such as that train at the lower right. You can recognize they are the eyes of the big waster because that's the result of how the big waster has become its own character. And we could achieve different effects through him. Other than singing, I think the most exciting aspect of this character is that the different parodies we do with the big waster on social media. I think this is a very interesting thing to share with you. Maybe a decade ago, all of us will get most of these government messages from television or radio. Like I said, they were one way. However, with the rise of social media, even government might not want to casually promote these campaigns. That's why instead of a very lively or casual official account, we started such approach with the big waster. And that's how we came to create the Facebook page of the big waster. And we tried a different approach with him. Before this post, we had almost 8 to 9 months working on very official, very rigid government messages, like promoting events and campaigns or products we have created for campaigns. At that time, our staffs saw this on television and decided to try this. Every time I share about the creation of the big waster, this is a turning point in its career. Our team used a lot of time for trial and error and what we can do and we cannot. This also improved the trust between our several teams and make projects after that much better ones. This post changed the history for us. I think it raised 2 or maybe 3,000 likes for our page, all the way to maybe 9,000 in one night. I don't even remember the likes for this post anymore. But at that time, it was a very exciting news for our team. And through that, we have discovered that these promoting campaigns are no longer one-way messages like the old times. We needed to interact with citizens. Through this post, the big waster has garnered a lot of popularity and fans, and also became more recognizable among citizens. I think the big waster also helped citizens understanding the campaigns carried out by government or the bureau. This is also a post that I like. when Mr. Jia Feng was made fun for making weird food, and we had a parody of the big waster on him. So we had these different posts with the big waster, but it's not just about the parodies. It is just a way of communication, and eventually we would like to create talks or topics that you would talk with people around you. And how we can make fun of relatable topic with the big waster, such as timely news. And through time, this is more than just a communication channel from the government, but we can have actual conversation and interactions with citizens. This is Rudy Leung, a respected person in the advertising industry. He also shared our post. I would like to also share this. I would like to have our team to mark down what parodies we are having in these different pages and these different posts with the big waster. Sometimes they come up with something very interesting, and how do we decide on what to do and what not to do? First, of course, we need to trust their creative senses, but also it's important to pin down the messages behind the post. Just like this parody on an infamous internet and advertisement, or this new single of the Korean boy band Big Bang. And this is a parody of Will Smith on the Academy Awards. With these all parodies, we have decided the message is that the parody is not the main issue here. Of course, these topics need to be timely. But just as I focused on the trust among our team, making timely parodies might have different messages towards different people in the society. But with this, we can build up trust. And these are some posts that I can share with you. We tried not to just focus on young people in the society. In the world of social media, we shouldn't just target the young people just because it's social media. Social media has already become an essential part of our everyday life. Even people older than me use the social media every day. So we can also make parodies that older people would find relatable. There are also several social media tools that we can make use of and focus on what we can do for different social media. Through these different campaigns, the big waster has become almost like a friend to all of us. From this parody on the Avengers, it's more than just the big waster. It includes all other mascots and also about a much bigger issue. Through these soft advertisements, we can gather several different bureaus of the government and gather our forces for one big issue. Just like during the epidemic, we campaigned everyone to wear masks and wash your hands. and also this campaign for carbon neutral, carbon deduction. And through these years, different bureaus started to have their own different mascots. Just like I was asked, is it possible to have, is it possible to confuse the mascots? We can make use of the experience from creating the Big Waster. The mascot needs to be like a friend that people can come to know and familiarize with. And these mascots should not just be inside joke of different bureaus. Mr. Wong Kim has become a mascot almost himself. And we did a lot of crossovers between the Big Waster and KS. And also this crossover with Hong Kong Monetary Authority. We have Mr. Norman Chen Teklam here with the Big Waster. And these different challenges on social media with known celebrities, these were also successful because these likes you see here are organic reaches. And I believe these are celebrities that you would all recognize. And even on social media, we follow several trends to do different campaigns. We have decided the social media, which platform exactly would do these campaigns are not important, but the message. Just like at the peak of the popularity of Master 7, we had the Big Waster work with her. The Big Waster had become more than just a mascot we used to promote. From videos or those stores that KS shown, these are search results came from the internet. And you can see a lot of citizens like to take pictures and show that they see the Big Waster at several places. We can even show all of them here. And mass media also picked up a lot of works from us. No matter it's timely parodies or funny parodies, we also parody on celebrities. I believe we had succeeded by doing things citizens would find relatable. We don't just deliver messages from the government. Maybe the campaign is about food wise. But we have decided that these messages are things that we already know, but we need them to be relatable to citizens and how to have citizens accept them in a more comfortable way. And I would like to share a video with you. This is not a recent video. It was from around 2015. The News Bureau made this short video following the Big Waster to a primary school. I remember this video vividly and the children's reaction in the video. And it made me realize how successful it was. This is the edited version I have for you. The Big Waster in the primary school.
呢條片我記住咗好耐嘅，亦都
I remember this video vividly. Why would the Big Waster has this tone and manner in the video? Because when we needed to deliver a message to all citizens of Hong Kong, we would like to start with children. If any of you are parents, you would agree the biggest and the most influential stakeholder in Hong Kong are the children. If the children would teach like their brothers or sisters or their parents on different topics, it would be easy to change everyone's behavior. These are also search results that we found on the internet, how the Big Waster has become such an influential icon. You can see him here in the wedding, and how the Big Waster became a doll, a product in their daily life, and how the Big Waster has his own page on Wikipedia and the Encyclopedia of Virtual Communication in Hong Kong. KS also mentioned that at OPAC we have this footwise space, an exhibition place for the Big Waster. We started with creating a promotion video for the Big Waster. And with these bite-sized contents we create every day, after all this time, we would like to go back to the basics and have this actual venue for the Big Waster to carry out more educational campaigns. I think this is a very well-made animation, but during the epidemic, not too many of you could visit the place. So please try to visit it again or try your best to book it, since we also know it's not a very easy task. Please try your best and good luck in booking the venue. There's this Big Waster in Wonderland campaign, and the Big Waster will be able to be seen in different recycling shops. So after all these years, the Big Waster has become a big part of our daily life and almost like a friend to us. KS has asked me, what was the success of the Big Waster? How did it came to be so successful? And this is what I thought I could think of. Promotion could be boring. So at first, we need to try making it into more interesting messages. Like, we shouldn't just tell people not to waste food. We need to understand what our audiences are thinking, and therefore we can decide on how to deliver that message. Simple is best. A lot of studies would tell you the time and period we receive messages and information are shorter and shorter. Parodies need to be fast and timely. We need to say these where the clients and stakeholders are. That's why we make use not just the traditional mass media, but also social media platforms. It's important to pinpoint your target audiences. You can't do it randomly. In communication terms, we need to go back to basics. We are not just having fun with the parodies. We need to deliver messages, and we need to understand that message ourselves in order to deliver it. And Desmond captured this Facebook page. We have created this special poster that you can see on Desmond's Facebook page. Thank you very much. I'm the co-founder of the Big Waster, and I will talk about the Green Community Campaign. Ellen is our partner. I would like to start with talking about these promotions. We work with the Environmental Bureau, but we actually seldomly met. Maybe we have met for 1 or 2 times. And this is the first time I've heard the story of the big waster. My eldest daughter is now almost 3 years old. One time she saw an actual big waster near her home, and now she's a fan of it. It might be the first time my daughter knew or heard of what is environmental protection. And now every time she saw this number 6, she says the big waster. And now I think I need to teach her that's actually a number instead of the mascot. Alan here is the architect of One Bike. Green community stores are created by the 2 teams of ours. The Green Community Project is co-designed by our companies. We are mainly consultants, and One Byte, Alan is also a co-creator, and they mainly work on interior design. Before we start with the Green Community campaign, I would like to start with the background. This first slide is from my own experience. Since we are sharing this for the design department, I would like to start with our common language. I think all of you are lucky because while you're studying design, you also get in touch with messages involving environmental protection. When I was studying designing, a lot of teachers taught us how to make beautiful designs, just like product designs or advertisements, but they rarely talk about where our designs go. I think this picture is from more than a decade ago. One time I was at a recycling station and I was surprised to see a sea of plastics. What we can see here is just the tip of iceberg. I was looking at these plastic bottles, and this bottle, I think the interior might not be very delicious, or else it won't be filling up in the recycling station. But the design looks very good, and it was also award-winning in other countries. So what I thought at that time was, as a designer or an advertisement worker, have we ever thought about our designs? Have we think about where they go? I was working for a company, a very major advertisement designing company. It's a very well-known company, also designed a very recognizable water bottle in Hong Kong. It was designed by me and a colleague of mine, and others in the company were envy of us. Everyone in Hong Kong had this bottle that designed by us. It was an honor. But as a creator, or maybe you all as students of the science, the sense of achievement came from what you design are actually used and liked by other people. However, to design a popular or beautiful bottle has vanished from my mind. Ever since that time, I became more aware of what kind of impact our designs have on the earth. And our company started to focus on more environmental friendly works. And let us come back to the Green Community campaign. This picture features this station that was the predecessor of Green Community campaign. Can KS talk more about this period of time? At that time, more than a decade ago, we supported several community groups to set up these community recycling stations. However, as I have mentioned, the designs are not unified. And they look almost like all kind of recycling station that you can imagine. And they all have several separated campaign systems. At that time, we needed to do site visits. To be honest, I remember doing it with Alan, and I was startled because I didn't think it is doable for branding. They are usually located near like car or repairing company. However, there is a unified aspect among these stations, like they have very little interior designs, and they have green color for themes. And of course, back then, they didn't have as much resources. There were minimum efforts for the NGO to encourage citizens in participating. However, from our observations, these old people bringing paper or tin cans for recycling, but while they were the major parts of recycling, some of them, even back then, had already separated different things for different recycling purposes. So other than those recycling stations, there are these recycling bins on pedestries or housing estates. Even under my house, there is one. However, for these recycling bins, there were a lot of questions among citizens. I have witnessed it myself that even I have separated different bins, different wastes into different bags. The workers collecting these wastes just put them into just one big bag. I have questioned the management that they were just wasting our efforts. So maybe these recycle bins are supported by these environmental protection campaigns, but the management might not actually care since they were run by different management companies. Therefore, the outcome and the effectiveness of these bins are questionable. Just like after you bought something from a convenience store, there wouldn't be any places for you to wash the waste and you would just throw them away instead of recycling them. Therefore, the Environmental Bureau in the last decade carried out several major campaigns. One of us is this Community Green Station campaign. It has received several awards. However, they are mostly positioned in rather minor or less busy areas. They are mainly built on areas with less meaningful purposes for other buildings. However, we are surprised to know that this campaign has left a bigger impression among citizens. Because it is actually run by the Environmental Bureau and NGOs, what you recycle here would be properly treated, and it is known among citizens. And we think this campaign name, Community Green Station, is a very good one. You can see even in these pictures, all of them has a lot of green. However, after creating these ideas, I think the government didn't have much branding with this campaign. You can see, be it in Eastern area or Saigon or Kuntong, it is green in somewhere. However, they do not have a unified design. For branding purpose, it would be less recognizable because they do not have a unified design. And what we are facing here is from the experience of the past recycling campaigns, how can we unify them and put an impression in citizens? And just like having a toy with your chocolate, we would like it to have a surprising effect on citizens' everyday life. I think you're all familiar with 7-Eleven. I'm not a young man anymore. I have witnessed it days without 7-Eleven in Hong Kong. There was a song of this store that I can even recite in my mind now. However, there is a touchline. There's always one nearby. There's always an 7-Eleven nearby. 7-Eleven, there's always one nearby. And they are convenient. They run 24 hours. Back then, we don't have stores that run 24 hours. And you can buy almost anything in 7-Eleven since it's a convenience store. It changed all aspects of your daily life. And since we can buy things easily and comfortably and conveniently in 7-Eleven, we had this idea of can we recycle stuffs through these green community stations. We didn't just want to be copycats, but we wanted to learn from the messages we got from 7-Eleven. Recycling stations always had this impression on people. They are dirty, they are inaccessible, but we would like to change that. Just like how 7-Eleven is very convenient and always nearby, and it's clean. We would like to transfer that image to the green community stations. And why do we have this number 6 for this campaign? We already had a good name with the word green, but we would like to use the same pronunciation in Cantonese and transfer it into the number 6. And you can see we have the recycling logo inside the number 6. If you turn your head a bit, you can see the G. And we have it implying the initial of the word green. Every time we create logo, we had over 100 sketches before we can come up with an actual product. We would like to share this because as you are all studying the science, you shouldn't focus on just the logo because it is just part of the blending. We need to think more far away and into the future. And how can we start with the number 6 and an arrow and carry out this message? 唔好意思，聽唔到。喂。Thank you. After we came up with the brand concept, at the beginning, the Environmental Bureau staff started with the blending, but we thought blending shouldn't just be about the logo. It should be about an experience, and the green community stations need space. It is a very big aspect of it. In the following 6 months, the Environmental Bureau needed to create 22 stations in Hong Kong. And for our company, we are a company of over 2 decades history. This is the first time that we needed to do such a time-pressing project. And we needed to do a lot of interior designs, and that's how we invited One Bite to participate in this project. This picture those 22 stations allow me to share a bit more background with you. There were not just one operator for those 22 stations. There were 22 NGOs for those different stations. And those contractual issues were drafted up by several different NGOs. And we think it was not doable. That's why we asked it to have a unified design. We will talk a little bit more about how Alan and his team worked with all these operators and how we succeeded in creating 22 stations in 6 months. This picture shows how we had intensive meetings with all these different NGOs, how we made them share their recycling experiences with us because they were the one working at front line. If we didn't understand their operational needs or their experiences, then we cannot provide them with good enough designs. And I think I can allow Alan to talk about the coming parts. Nice to meet you. I'm Alan. Before I talk about the interior design, let me talk about that Mission Impossible. For those 22 stations, we needed to work under 6 months, and it was in 2020. And I remember it was around the time we started wearing face masks. After the New Year of the coming year, all stations were opened. Our company, One Bite, is a younger one, around 8 years, and it was a mission impossible for us. We worked closely with different teams from the Environmental Bureau, and there was a phase 2 involving 10 more stations. And it was also mission impossible that need to be done in under 6 to 8 months. In April of 2022, we finished all 32 stations. That was 22 months. I believe all of you live in Hong Kong, and there must be one around where you live, just like 7-Eleven. These stations are everywhere in Hong Kong, even far away town in Lantau Island. And the phase 2 stations, you can see they reached even the northern areas. You can see the network covers a lot of ground. Even though we still get messages from citizens, there is not one around where they live. So for this store, the design of like this one, it is green Tin Hao, and it was the first station. It was created in October 2020. Before it was done, people would ask, why does it look a lot like 3, the mobile service provider, or it even looks a bit like a cafe, since it's in an area with a lot of restaurants and cafes. While we were holding, a lot of people were asking what was it. And I think it is one of the most used station among the 32. At night, you can see a lot of recyclable waste there at night. I'm not sure if that's a good thing though. So let me talk about the design ideas for these stations. There was a picture, we had meeting with all those operators. Since we are experts in interior design but not recycling, so we needed their experiences in how to actually operate recycling services, including all those problems and issues, or even cloud controls, how to store and how to transport those waste. After those 2 days of intensive meetings, we had garnered a lot of experiences. We needed to separate them into different areas. There's a green one called recycling area for citizens. This is the best looking part because it was the front of the station. And then there is the back of house for the NGO operators to store those waste while they're waiting for transportation. It will be separated for different recycling services. And then there is an educational area. Even though it's not like those in Y Park or O Park, this Green Community Station has a small function room that we would like the operators to deliver messages on environmental protection. These boxes are for recycling, and they are designed with a purpose that is recognizable even from afar. Since these green community stations are all very new to citizens, we need the citizens to understand what it is for easily. We have operators to introduce what the stations do. We have these small tables because citizens would bring their bag here to the station and sort them out on these tables. And that's why we have these featured elements in designing these areas. And you can also see, just like the one in Tin Hao, there's a Greek sign. And we also like it to look like 7-Eleven with a unified design among all the stations. And since it is over the storefront, we would like the store to be transparent and safe even for kids. This is the first time we showed these interior designs. We first had these blueprints and draft because we were not sure what kind of stores the operators would find. So that's why we like to have these designs like a entrance in front of the information counter and those sorting out table. And that gave the operators a slight idea on what kind of stores they should look for. And this is a design for another type of stores, maybe a shorter store, and we have the information counter placed in a deeper place. And this is the first station we have at Tin Hao. And how do we keep it so clean and so white? We did a lot of hard work on it because throughout the process, we asked that even operators worked in recycling for over a decade, how should we maintain them? And it is unavoidable for recycling station to get dirty. However, we would like to provide an image of clean and safe. So at the end, we were successful in doing it. We made a clean and bright area for recycling. However, we still learned a lot of lessons from it, such as an area too white. There were also issues that comes with it. But you can look at here, like this is a reception, and behind the counter, we always have a green wall and a big number 6. Also, we have plants hanging down to provide more green for the environment. It was until we have more digitalized products and we have weight calculator for recycling goods. We also separated these boxes into different categories. There's a hard lesson we have learned here. And outside these stations, since these stations are not 24 hours operating, like maybe after school or after work, you cannot make it, and the station is closed. So these stations have a box that you can open and recycle stuff yourself 24 hours. And as KS mentioned, there's a WASTER dispenser and a space for you to wash your hands. And of course, this is a machine for collecting prices from your recycling points. Our design wanted to be effective instead of extravagant, so we had minimum and simple designs. Even the lights only are the ones that you would see on a ceiling rail. And some of the hard lessons we have learned. And these are what these are the categories of waste we collect. I don't know if any of you have actually visited the station. Some stations collect over than 30 categories, just like different kinds of bottles. And when we talked about it with the staffs at the Environmental Bureau, we think it needs to be convenient. What if you need to bring like 10 bags from your home to the stations? So we have discussed it with the operators if we can cut down the categories. SKS discussed it with us, recycling should be about lesser categories instead of more categories. So the major categories only involve 4 categories. Citizens should not carry the burden, but the operators should do more to help citizens to participate in recycling. This is the phase 1 design. You can see there's a little curve underside. We think it would be more easy. It would be easier for citizens to drop their waste into it, and we used the simple color, and there are instructions written under, like what kinds of bottles we collect at which bin. And this is the educational area we have mentioned. There's like this small bar. And in bigger stations, there are also bigger event rooms. And why the stations are so popular? Because we have a great gift redemption list for different prices, including food that you can eat. And that's why it's also popular among old folks. And after much hard work, we have created 22 stations. However, there were also hard lessons we learned through working with different operators. Different operators had different construction teams. I remember in those 6 months, we had discussed with a lot of those interior construction teams and how do we create a more unified design, and it was not easy. I think designers would start to think people would like what they design. However, you can see this station at Taiwan. After we opened the station, we see there are always queues outside the station, and there are restaurants next to this station, and there were complaints that those queues are in the way of them doing business. And you can see, like in the back of house, are also not as clean as you would like it to be. And you can see these bins are worn down. Did we pick the wrong materials, or did we make mistake in designing them? In phase 2, we needed to work with the experiences of those narrow corridors. Therefore, during phase 2, we needed unloading access area. And since phase 2, we are implementing several smart surfaces. Therefore, we got rid of the reception area and also material enhancement in hopes of maintaining the station to be cleaner and easier for maintenance. Since it's also during epidemic and everyone's wearing face masks, there are also several measures that we carried out. You can see this store looks a bit bigger, and there's a special access road. It's especially for operators to carry out waste for transportation, and we hope that it could provide a better recycling experience for citizens. Like this map, we have transportation at the back. At phase 1, we were not so sure about the design, and now at phase 2, those collection box always opens from the back. This is a collection. This is a station at Prince Jordan, at Jordan. We used metal panel and steel skirting, and they do not worn out like they did before. And there's a smart scale and a smart surface machine for collecting prices, and also some epidemic measures like these ultraviolet lights on the ceiling rail. We would like to create better air quality for this station. These lights usually opens after operation time for pasteurizing purpose and to make this place cleaner and cleaner. This looks a little bit like Taikan Yama in Japan. I'm really fond of this station. And you can see in this picture, we use more durable materials and several improvements on scales and other equipments. And these ultraviolet, these UV lights, and that's how we created the 10 stations of phase 2. So let's go back to branding. Sorry, we are overrunning a bit. Other than the stations, the Green Community campaign also have some software aspects carried out by our company, such as you will see the staffs at the stations wear uniforms. These uniforms are all recycled from old plastic bottles. We had a fashion designer, and he had found a company specialized in creating these clothes recycled from plastic. And it involves a lot of nanotechnology, like getting rid of the smell and keeping it clean. We understand the staff work very hard and perform heavy duty in these stations. Some of them. And uniform on the staff, including the hats and the jackets, needed around 70 plastic bottles for one staff's uniform. You can see the 6 on this lamppost. Maybe some of you have seen it. It is not a bus stop. I remember the Bureau being very creative. While we were brainstorming, they suggested using these lampposts. Other than those stations, we also have hundreds of mobile spots throughout Hong Kong. We call them street stations. Other than proper stations, they are not always open, and some of them open irregularly. And how do we promote? We have these mobile stations. We decided to put these 6 and with a big WASTER on these lampposts to notify citizens we have mobile stations around. Because when you see the big WASTER, you see it is from the Environment Bureau. This picture is our staff collecting waste. This was also another challenge for us, since it was time sensitive and it requires mobility. We needed to keep the station clean and bright. And after we observed how they actually operate, mobility is the most significant and most important aspect, because like when it rains, they need to move out very quickly. These bins look normal, but we also put a lot of designing thoughts on them. This is a prototype in our company, how to set up a bin in just a matter of seconds. Of course, you need to put a bag inside, but we have a metal plate at front. KS also mentioned more than stations and mobile stations, we will have this collection, just like delivery from McDonald's. We also have these transportation around to collect your recycling waste. We would like to provide trustable services, because like I said myself, I didn't have a very good impression on those recycle bins near my home. But as we discussed it with the Bureau, we have built up trust with the citizens on the issue of recycling. And therefore, this icon of the number 6 should provide confidence among citizens. And that picture was showing our staff collecting waste. Throughout the decade, there were not a lot of branding exercises, and Wan Chai was the first station we had this 6. We would like it like a gas station, provide the same kind of branding recognition among citizens. Alan also helped it create sorting system in the station with these caged trolleys.
launch 咧，我哋拍咗
As the station launched, we created this promotion video, and for a period, we had advertisements for this campaign. We are carrying out smart services for these stations. You might remember at the very beginning, you need a card for the services, and now you can use an app for collecting points and tracking when and what you recycle. There's also a very important aspect of the app is to activate these smart devices. This is an experiment we have at Hung Fa Chun. This is a milestone in Hong Kong. We started to use smart devices to collect food waste in housing estates. We tried the same design to create this wishbone with the arrow. We researched globally over the whole world what kind of logo we can present food waste. I remember KS being very creative. I asked him, why fish? Do you remember what did you suggest? KS said fish bone could be recyclable, but bigger bones cannot. KS could come up with these stories to collaborate with future ideas. That's why I think KS is a creative director, and this is a food waste collecting vehicle. I like to think as we fill out the base, we can expand them into different usages. Food waste is a very good example.
A
lot of housing estates started using these smart devices for collecting food waste. KS also had shown a picture of us working in one of those stations. A group of children came in very lively and loudly, and their parents followed. Turned out it was a site visit managed by their teachers, teaching them how to do waste recycle. I think it is also one of our goals. Recycling should be something we teach our children from a young age, and it should be participated by people from all ages. This elderly woman, we can listen to what she has to say.
但係不斷聽到好呢幾個字。咁小朋友啦、老人家啦，其實上個禮拜我喺 BU 做咗一個 sharing 啊，都係
Last week I did a sharing at the Baptist University, also for the design department. I asked the students, do any of them use the stations? And one of them raised his or her hand and even said he worked in one. And this is an impact the campaign had on myself. Sometimes I go running or jogging after dinner, and I noticed that the trash station near my home, something looked very sharp in the station, and I noticed that this purple bin that designed by my company is in the station. I was very moved because as a designer, we always want to see our own designs in maybe museums or galleries or participate in some kind of art competitions. But seeing something designed by myself at a place, I think this is also a turning point for me. And this campaign has received a lot of awards. Last time I met with KS and like One Bite Alan and his parent and his partner, Sarah. And me, Eddie is also my partner. Unfortunately, he cannot be participating here today with us. And there are staffs and our teams. And I would like to thank the Environmental Bureau and because this project must be a heavy toll on all of them. We created a lot of problems for them because in the last 2 years, since we did a very successful plan, very protective of it. And for us designers or interior designers, we are only part of the project, and the other parts require the operators to protect the blend. And that is the way to have a successful blend. This is the sharing for today. Thank you very much. Such a heartful and moving sharing for 2 whole hours. Initially, it should be way over, but I know a lot of you like to ask questions. Can I extend for another 10 minutes to let our guests answer a few questions? First, I would like to invite students here in the venue to ask. Thank you for the sharing. I'm a fan of the Big Waster. I'm particularly interested in birthday of the Big Waster in May. He mentioned he wants to support the campaign of charging for waste collection. I would like to ask, what kind of campaign would the Big Waster carry out to push for this campaign, targeting different audiences? And the interaction between the Big Waster and the Green Community Station is very effective. Like sometimes I see the station in Tuen Mun, I see a lot of elderly people participating actively. And the kids are very interested in those community stations. May I ask, was it part of the strategy in designing the Big Waster? I can tell you this. In the past, the Big Waster has always participated in different campaigns involving different government policies. In the future, we have a few lined up. Charging for waste collection, I think, is just one incentive to help the citizens. However, in our strategy, there are lots of different aspects that we will campaign to suggest citizens how they might participate in helping. And when we launch, we will have more concrete promotion, just like how to do it properly and do it better. We have a few lined up in the future. I cannot talk too much about it at this moment, but we have a few ideas planned for the promotion. As you were asking about the collaboration between Green Community and the Big Waster, I can tell you there wasn't much. As we worked with the Environment Bureau, we didn't meet a lot, but even remotely, we know what each other were doing. We share a same goal, just that the Big Waster works in a more casual way, but the Green Community campaign works in a more decent and stylish way. Every time you see that number 6, be it in advertisement or in those stations, you always see the Big Waster. At first, we thought it would be confusing because they are very different tonally. However, the Big Waster is the creator's touch. Every time we need to have a preventing message, the Big Waster would be more effective than just a punchline. Just like the station, after public holidays, there would be a lot of waste. There would be a lot of days piled up in front of our stations. It's because even we have those collection box, we cannot collect them all through it. And we needed the Big Waster to tell the citizens not to dispatch their waste randomly. They need to dispatch them properly into the boxes. And that's why even we didn't collaborate closely to match them tonally, but they just naturally worked well with each other. Hi, I'm Carmen. I would like to ask KS, in the past you worked as secretary. Do you think the current government are not paying enough attention at the issue? And Hong Kong's only paper drink packs recycling station is closing down. What do you think about it? We need to first understand about charging for waste collection. Just like we wouldn't buy them for family use. Even my household sometimes buy paper-bagged milk, so I would tell my family to properly recycle them. This is the first issue. And the second thing is you need to understand department publicly promoted that at the present, we support the recycling industry. However, Hong Kong has the major issue of landing. We needed space for this particular service. What we tell the citizens is that the Bureau made a promise in whatever we collected through green community stations, including paper bags. No matter in short terms or long terms, the Bureau will make sure these are recycled into useful materials. And allow me to add one thing. The ex-secretary worked with me for over a decade, and he also observes the matter closely. All things recycled through green community stations will be recycled into useful materials.
OK， 我唔係學生。
I'm not a student.
歡迎你。我係即係總之關於環保嘅，我都係 fans 咁，所以特別嚟。
But I'm a very concerned person on the recycling and environmental protection issue. I have two questions. The first is the big waster created a trend, be it a very fancy restaurant or a cheap restaurant. When we cannot finish my meal and want to pack them away, I am much more comfortable about it now, and the staff would help me eagerly. I think this is how the big waster has changed the culture. But my second question is, since we are wasting less food, the food waste we have dumped at landfill, I want to ask if there are actually less food waste we have dumped at landfill, because I think the big waster has effective impact on our life, but I want to know statistically or factually if it is actually the case. And the second question is, as you mentioned that the community stations will be getting more smart devices, but I have noticed that it is still not very easy to understand. Just as we buy computers, those paper boxes, like the paper boxes we get from buying electronic devices, we are not sure if those paper are recyclable. When we are at the community station, we depend on the NGO operators kindly helping us. So even when you have those planned carefully, but there are more and more materials involved in our daily life, and there will always involve human elements. I would like to ask about that. I would like to first answer the big waster's impact on the Foodwise campaign is certainly effective. When the big waster was only a year old and was not very popular, one time I passed by a restaurant and saw two kids. One child talked to another and told him not to be a big waster. And you can see it started to have impacts on children. And that's why we had Cantonese punchline to connect the big waster to everyone's daily lives. The food waste in Hong Kong has been reduced by around 10%. And this reduction in residential waste is a very positive one. And for the community stations, since some of them we would need the designers to work on the preparation and how they will be transported for recycling purposes. In different cities, there are different methods for recycling, just like in mainland China or in America. They are separated into dry waste or wet waste or electronic waste or unrecyclable waste. That's the 4 categories. Maybe we are more familiar with Japan, and they are separated very detailed. However, in fact, Japan has a lower recyclable rate than Hong Kong. It was only about 20% because they have companies to separate and recycle those materials. So that's why detailed separation might not be a good thing. It's not necessarily good. And we need to maintain a balance and separate them into maybe 8 or 9 categories and easily understandable to citizens. And the errors are marginal and we think it is acceptable. In Hong Kong and based on our culture and history, I think we can accomplish it through smart devices and detailed categories. Due to time restraint, as the MC, I'm going to need to catch a plane tonight. So unfortunately, I need to end this sharing session now. If you have any other questions, we welcome you to stay and ask. We are glad to have KS and his team today with us. We are very grateful for your work for Hong Kong. We can see the consistency of the policies and the different campaigns. Our students, be it design department or from other department, maybe the business school, you can still, I believe you can still get a few things from this sharing, and we believe in the future it could be a teaching material in the future. Again, I would like to thank KS and his team for today's sharing session. Thank you very much.
啲問題可以收集俾我哋可以答嘅。台長送針表年分析，要錄咗我哋過去10年嘅一啲嘅工作。哦，呢個係我知道，識。
出年6月去嗰個環境日咧，我哋想搞一個快速科技嘅一個大學同一個論壇。
係。
咁啊，
好，America，
我去做嗰啲學生活動啊、青年嗰啲學校啊、大學生中學學。